Hey there. Today we're going to learn how to multiply by multiples of 10, 100, or 1,000. And what we see here are four different problems, and we're going to see a pattern that emerges as I move through and multiply each number. So if I start with the smallest one here, 6 times 1 we know is simply 6. 6 times 10 is also a basic fact. We know that 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 100 would be 6 100s, or 600. And 6 times 1,000 would be 6 1,000s, or 6,000. And what we see here is a pattern that's kind of forming. So for each multiple of 10, you'll notice that the zeros match the zeros on the answers. So in this case, I did 6 times 1,000. There were 3 zeros, and you can see that there are 3 zeros in my answer. Same with the 100. In this case, you can see there were 2 zeros, and there are 2 zeros in my answer. Here, with 1 0, I have 1 0 in my answer. And here, when I was multiplying by 1, it didn't have any 0, so I don't have any zeros in my answer there. And this pattern is true when I'm multiplying by numbers that are multiples of either 10, 100, or 1,000. All I'm really doing is taking the basic fact of 6 times 1, and each problem would give me 6, and then adding the zeros behind it to give me my final product. Let's take a look at that through a couple other examples. So in this example, we're going to do 4 times 3 and multiples of 3 times 1,000, 3 times 100, and 3 times 30. So I know that my basic fact of 4 times 3 is 12. And that's going to be true for all of these, because you'll see that 4 times 3 appears in each one of those numbers. So 4 times 3 here is going to again be 12. But since I have a 0 here, I need to include that 0 in my answer. So 4 times 3 is 12, but 4 times 30 would be 120. Same here, I'm going to again look at just my basic fact of 4 times 3, which is 12, in this case with 2 zeros. So my answer would be 1,200. And then finally in this example, I have 4 times 3, which again is, or 4 times 3,000, which again is 4 times 3, which is 12, with 1, 2, 3 zeros in my answer. So again, you can kind of see this pattern when you multiply numbers with those zeros, that you need to include the zeros in your answer. Do a couple more examples. For this example, I'm just going to pull a larger number. So in this case, I have 5 times 5,000. So again, I don't need to list all of the 5 times 100, 5 times 50. I can simply just look at my basic facts. This only works when my number ends in zeros, because it's a multiple of either 10, 100, or 1,000. But all I need to do is pull my basic fact, which in this case is 5 times 5, which we know is 25. And then I just need to go back and add all of my zeros after my basic fact answer. So 3 zeros would give me 25,000. There's one other example that's just a little bit different that I want to make sure that you guys see as well. Let's do another 8 times 500. Okay. In this case, I again am going to pull my basic facts first. So just looking at 8 times 5, I know that 8 times 5 is 40. Now, the reason that I'm writing this first, and that's important, is that you'll notice that there is already a 0 included in this basic fact. That 0 can't be included when I'm adding zeros because that is my basic fact to 8 times 5. So I still need to now go back and put 2 more zeros to account for the 500 that I was really multiplying by. So in this problem, I have 3 zeros in my answer and only 2 zeros in my problem, but that's because my basic fact included a 0 when I multiplied 8 times 5. So 8 times 500 would be 4,000. Do one more example of something similar to that. Let's do 5 times 6,000. So again, pulling just my basic fact, 5 times 6 gives me 30. Then I need to go and add an additional 1, 2, 3 zeros. And again, you'll notice these zeros don't equal these zeros up here, but that's because there was a 0 included from my basic fact of 5 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 6,000 is 30,000.